Hi, I'd like to walk you through a few key areas in the Coronet for Dropbox platform. Coronet provides all the security a small to mid-sized business needs in an affordable and extremely easy to use package. In this demo, we will focus on the service control functionality included in the Coronet for Dropbox package. Let's first get acquainted with the key areas of the platform. This is the dashboard, your snapshot of how your users, devices, cloud accounts are doing. Here you can also see if any security events were detected. To the left, you can see the main menu. There are three key parts to the menu. Investigate, which is where you can dig into any security events that occurred. Manage, which is where you would perform basic administrative tasks such as add and remove users, distribute the software to devices, and so on. And Configure, which is where you would connect services to the platform, create custom security rules, and configure general account settings. Let's start by connecting the Dropbox account to Coronet. Click on the Services under the Configure menu, and then Add a Service. A list of services will appear. In this case, we're going to choose Dropbox. For every service, a step-by-step guide will appear on how to connect the service. Each service, of course, will have a different guide, which will walk you through each step you need to take. Connecting Dropbox takes less than a minute. Assuming you're logged into Dropbox as an admin, just click on these two blue buttons. Click Test and Save, and you are done with connecting Dropbox. Of course, more services such as Office 365 and G Suite can be configured, giving the user the same level of control over many different SaaS platforms. Next, let's define some security rules. The system comes with built-in default security rules. However, those of course can be modified and new ones can be added. To demonstrate rules, let's start by defining a location. Let's find the Sydney Dropbox office. All I have to do is type in Dropbox Australia. There it is. The system finds a location, and now I can draw a perimeter around that building. Pardon my lousy drawing skills, but you get the picture. It can be very, very specific. Now we're going to create this location. We're going to call it Dropbox Australia. And we're going to associate it with Dropbox offices. So now any security rule that I created that applies to Dropbox offices will also apply to the office I just defined. Now let's dive into creating rules. Each rule is made up of 5 elements. What are we controlling? Who is the user we're controlling? What is considered a violation? How should we react to the violation? And who should be notified and when? Service activity rules block abnormal or suspicious behavior. Let's create a new rule and give it a name. Here we define which services will be monitored. Here we can define who should be monitored. It can be done down to a user level or a group level. In this case, we're going to apply to everyone in the company. This is where we define what we consider a violation or a threat. In this case, there are 3 different kinds of threats: unusual administrative activity, unusual or suspicious download patterns, and dormant account activity. Then we define what the remediation should be, or in other words, what should the system automatically do if it identifies a threat. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to suspend the account that is suspicious. And last, we define what kind of notification do we want. In this case, we are going to send a daily email to my Coronet account. Service threats monitors and reacts to malware and ransomware spread in Dropbox. It will identify an outbreak and can suspend the account from which malicious files were introduced to prevent further spread. DLP by file type monitors and controls the sharing of specific file types in Dropbox, such as source code, certificates, documents, or any other file types by suffix. First, let's define what kinds of files we want to control. In this case, let's say we want to control source code. Let's say in this rule, I want to make sure no one shares source code with anyone outside my company. Now let's define who the file is shared with. Here, I will use a whitelist, which means files can only be shared with people that are in the whitelist. I'm going to add a domain here. And now I'm going to define the action. So I will alert the user if this rule is violated, and I'll notify the editor. And as always, I will send a daily event summary. Now let's create a DLP by content rule. Let's create a rule that ensures only the finance team will be able to send financial data outside the company, and only to Ernst & Young, the external accounting firm used by the company. First, let's give the rule a name. Apply it to Dropbox. This time, we're going to only include the finance team, and we're going to allow them to share both PII and PCI information with the accounting firm. By the way, you can define very simple rules here as well with specific keywords in order to find content within those files. And now we're going to create a whitelist again. And in this case, we're going to add eny.com. And now we're going to create the action, which means what would happen if someone tries to share PCI or PII information with someone outside of Ernst & Young. So somebody within the finance team is trying to send files outside. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the shared link, make the file private, and remove any external users from that file. We're going to notify as always and save. Now let's see how the system behaves from an end user's perspective. Let's pretend I'm an unruly employee. I'm going to upload some files I should not have uploaded to Dropbox. These files will contain PHI violating HIPAA regulations, some credit card information violating PCI, and some personal information violating GDPR. So here, I will upload these files to Dropbox now. And to add insult to injury, not only did I upload these files, I will now share them with an external Gmail account. Now let's see how the system reacted to my actions. Let's go to the Coronet event menu. As you can see, the system identified the PCI, PII, and GDPR violations. Behind the scenes, what the system did was isolate the file and ensure no one has access to it. It also sent an email to the user letting him know that he did something he shouldn't have. And the event was added to the daily report that is going to be sent to the app. But what about the file shares themselves? Let's go into my personal Gmail account. And voila, you can see that 3 files were shared with my personal account. Now, obviously, I should not have gotten these files because the rules forbid me from accessing these internal files. Let's see what happens. If I click on this link and I try to view the file, you get that lovely cartoonish 404 error. Coronet was able to identify the violation and invalidate the link in real time so that the data never made it outside the company. What's important to remember from this example is how seamless, quick, and most importantly, effortless this was. The system automatically identified an issue and by itself took care of it without IT needing to get involved. If they want to investigate the event later, by all means, all the data is there. There is a full audit trail that shows everything that the users did. If we look at the Service tab under the Investigate window, we can see every action taken in Dropbox, who took the action, from where, using what kind of device. We can drill down to the actual JSON to see all the details. This is very useful in cases of actual regulatory investigation or a subpoena. I hope this short demo gave you a good idea of the kinds of things that we can do with Coronet Secure Cloud. As always, please send us an email at support@core.net with any questions. Thank you for listening.